My name is Chuck Hudson, or Charles. Some people know me by Charles. A little bit of my background first, and I feel a little out of place because I'm much more on the client side. I'm the consumer of a lot of the products and the OVPs that you're working with here. But I represent the developer side, consuming that, and how do we do things like analytics, and specifically today we'll be talking about commerce and using video for commerce and driving commerce. Some people may have heard of v-commerce, along with all the other acronyms, S-commerce, M-commerce, and such. So there's a lot going on in the market around commerce, even though it's so old, being online and in the mobile space. A little bit of my background, I'm a director of application development. I've been developing pretty much my whole life in all platforms, iOS, Android, online web, even some of the older mobile platforms. I now run a team that does application development full-time. Also an author. I co-wrote the HTML5 Developers Cookbook for Pearson Publishing, and also the eBay Commerce Cookbook, which is based all around eBay APIs like Magento. So if you know the Magento Commerce shop, all their APIs and such. As well, I teach e-commerce at the University of Georgia in their Masters of Internet Technology program, along with client-side programming. So I guess you could say I'm a full-time geek. So just wanted to give you a brief intro, what we'll be talking about today. And again, this is very much client-side focus. Okay, so we'll be going through some APIs. We'll be going through the HTML5 video element very briefly, but really focusing on how does this drive commerce and how can we actually leverage these types of players and the video element itself in new, unique ways to actually push those conversion rates for that e-commerce, whether it be online or on the phone or on the tablet, wherever anybody is doing their shopping online. So we'll do a quick refresh on the intro, on the video, analytics, the stats. We'll look at some YouTube APIs. So this could be any OVP, right? But in this case, we'll look at YouTube and some of the APIs that they provide. How do you actually use them? And then some of the analytics that look at the ROI and what are we looking for in particular on things like conversion rates, views, unique visitors, and the like, and how does it play inside that commerce. We'll be looking at mobile in particular. How do we get the information to the mobile devices, whether we're using things like QR codes, which have been around for a little while now. They've been used off and on. And whether we're looking more towards the future and some of the other technologies that are coming out. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a couple recent statistics, and this is written up as of March 13th from Animoto. This was a survey they did in December of 2013, so some of the more recent stats that we have on consumer buying habits, especially around the use of video. And you can see there's a lot of stats here, but some of the key ones is that 79%, the third bullet down, said it was helpful to watch a video before making a purchase. Okay, whether that video is being streamed in the store, whether it's being streamed at home while they're on the couch looking at their tablet, wherever it may be. That's a very high percentage that they found it beneficial. Okay, and this is why you have people like Zappos and the like incorporating videos, and the reason why we're all here for these streaming video sessions is how do we provide this in real time to these people. Okay, as well, 96% of customers find videos helpful when making purchase decisions online. Okay, now we're not classifying what those videos are yet here. Okay, those videos could be both bad or good, right? Okay, we'll see some examples of potentially bad videos. Okay, these slides as well, I believe, will be posted and available, and I have reference links in here to all these numbers. Or photos or graphs, so you'll be able to get that after the session. Okay. So typically the marketing team that we're involved with would be putting out traditional videos. You know, these might be the brand awareness videos. If you look at the GoPro site, you know, there's lots of brand awareness videos on the GoPro cameras and such. And then we have product how-tos, instructionals. We have inline product features, you know, describing the features, a walkthrough. Some people call them walkthroughs as well. And then finally, testimonials and experiences. Okay, those are the traditional buckets that we have around product videos. What we have now, though, is an explosion of categories that have been used traditionally in other types of marketing, okay? But now we have an explosion of categories, especially around YouTube, where people are posting, where you have your customers actually uploading real-time videos from their iPhones or their Android devices. We go through all different types, unboxing. One of my favorites is torture tests. Everybody's seen how an iPhone can stop a 50 caliber bullet, you know, okay? It doesn't work afterwards, but there's a torture test in there. You have the haul and the pickup. Those are similar. I've gone to the store and picked up my latest Converse sneakers, and I want to show them off. That's my haul for the day, or my recent pickup that I made. My favorite items, giveaways, tours of, you know, maybe my kitchen and my new appliances that are in my kitchen that I've purchased, empties. So what we're seeing here is a trend. You know, consumers and customers are actually becoming the video producers. Okay, they're creating that content. They're uploading it. We also have the how-tos or tutorials, and you actually get customers doing these how-tos and tutorials as well. And then versus comparisons. Okay, one of the more famous of these is typically the iPhone generational versus comparison. Is the iPhone 4 much better than the iPhone 3, etc. We have tags, we have parodies. Apple is another one that's been parodied quite a bit, as I'm sure you've seen with the YouTube videos that have been actually pretty well done. Okay. Okay, but it can work both ways. Okay, so we have customers that are happy, posting great videos, putting them up, giving reference to our brand, giving reference to our products, helping future sales. But we can also fail. Okay, so it works just as easily for customers that aren't happy. And here you have a portable folding barbecue, and it's actually a pretty funny video of someone trying to set up a portable folding barbecue. Not sure it's safe to begin with, but in essence, it's a product fail. Okay, and if you go to YouTube or any of the sites and just look up product fail, you'll find thousands of these videos. Okay, not where you necessarily want your product to be lumped into. Okay. Okay. So that's just some of the trends that we're seeing, okay? A lot more expressive. The customers are able to now take in real time, them opening up a box that they just got from Best Buy or from Amazon, and actually film that process, film what the packaging is like, and upload that immediately for not only their social network, but also pretty much everyone that has access to that site. Okay, so let's talk about the video tag. So now we're going to deep dive into the HTML5 portion, okay, and this talk is really a mix of the technologies on the client side along with the business trends that we're seeing, okay. And this is really a refresher. HTML5 has now been around and people are pretty familiar with it. It was the video element along with the audio element was really put in HTML5 to mainstream what used to be more of what's been called by some as a cow path, right? People were writing their own, we had to use Flash. Now we're mainstreaming this technology inside the browsers. Okay? It has built-in controls available, multiple sources to provide various browser support, trying to get around the browser independence here. Fallback messaging for those unsupported browsers. Okay? And what we're still seeing, even to this day, is that there's still varied support for this across the browser. Okay? Best Buy as an example, and we'll see some more Best Buy later on. What they do is their first source in this, and this is a typical fall-through source, so it tries the first one. If it can't support it, tries the next one, etc., and falls through. Best Buy will still use their Flash videos as their first one, and then they'll fall through. Okay, so if Flash isn't supported, then it'll go on to MP4 styles and the like. Okay. Okay. Some of the key events. We have our normal player control, play, pause, ended, time update. Some of the key properties. Current time, okay, and we'll see some actual examples in a minute using these types of things. We have a timeline, method and events that we go through. You know, when we load the video, and this is pretty common for any of the players now, when we load the video, we have an autoplay that we can fire, okay. We also have then our get and set current time, so we can move the cursor in the video or get the current position of the video. We have our pause and our play, and then finally we have an event at the end that's fired when the end of the video is reached. Okay, so this is all standard on the HTML5 video component and element. Okay. So some of the neat things, though, since it is a basic HTML element, is we can actually do things like overlay. Okay? And we can actually layer divs on top of each other. Because this video element most likely will be in a div component wrapped around it, we can then add other divs on top of that, whether that be canvas elements for drawing, whether it be other components like buttons. Okay? So a great use of this in the e-commerce space that we've seen is actually when someone goes through a review of new products. Okay? You get one of these tech sites and they have a batch of new products in. They'll actually start putting inline buttons overlaid on the video that people can actually interact with inside that video. Okay? Or even pop-up bubbles. So you'll see, just like the MTV pop-ups that we used to see in VH1 pop-ups, for more information, they can click on that, and it may load a sidebar and the like. So we'll get into this in the future section, but one of the things that I expect we'll see is a lot more interactive video, okay, with libraries and APIs built around putting components on top of that video element, so that you don't necessarily have to record those features in the video itself, but they can be added or adjusted later on. Okay? So, and we'll see an example of this overlay in just a minute. In fact, right now. Okay? So this is just something I quickly threw together. This is a 360-degree view, something that people are pretty common and familiar with on product sites. You can typically move the plus or the minus or the slider. Okay? How they typically do it is with a series of camera photos that are linked together, and then the control actually then just goes through those photos and moves those photos around. Okay? What we're using instead here is a video. Okay? And all it is on a turntable. It's about 15 seconds long, the video. So we could have it automatically pop up and play like any video does, but we're going to make it more interactive. We're actually going to do a couple things with this. So the video component on this is just the watch in the middle. Okay? The compass orientation up in the left is actually overlaid on top of the video, and the slider has been adjusted down here. We've taken off the default video controls, and we've added a jQuery UI slider on the bottom, okay, to control where we are at in the video itself. Okay? And so what that's doing is actually then moving the video along its play, which is just rotating the watch in the video. Notice as well we moved the line to show the orientation, the view on the compass up on the left. Okay? This is actually a canvas element that's overlaid on that video in a separate div. And I'll show you the code in a second. Okay? But very easily here we have a 360-degree view with not too much code, and just by taking a 15-second video of whatever the product is. So let's take a look at the code here. Okay, and all these code samples will be up and available online in GitHub. That's what I use for this. Okay, so you can see the main key for overlaying these controls is we have our video box, and then we have our video overlays. Okay, we're using some floats and some positions in our style sheet, but the key is down here. Here's our overlay. That's going to be our canvas for our view angle. That's that little compass up in the upper left. And then we also have our video element. And we've kept it very simple here. We're just using an MP4 on the bottom, okay, with a fall through if HTML5 video wasn't supported for this browser. Okay. So let's walk through a little bit. So when the page loads, what we're going to do is we're actually going to get the canvas up above, get the context of that canvas, and then we're going to paint on our compass. Okay? And the compass is simply the ring with the degree numbers around it. Okay? The line we're going to add layer just by drawing on the canvas in HTML5. Okay? So we draw our image, and then we're going to set our default view, which should be 0 degrees, just by drawing a line. So we're going to move to the position where we're going to start the line, go to the end of that position, draw the line, and then fill it in with a blue color and finish it out. Okay? So pretty simple here, only about probably 10 lines of code, and we now have our compass overlaid on the top, our viewing angle compass. Okay. Our slider, a little bit more complex. We've added our slider component from jQuery UI, that's the $ in the front. Okay. We've given it a max of 360 degrees. Even though the video is only 15 seconds, we want to represent in that slider that we're actually moving all the way around the object, whatever it may be. Okay, we're going to step by one each time. Okay, and then this is what actually moves the video. So you can see we're using the current time property. Okay, and that current time property, we can either get it or set it. Here we're going to set it. Okay, and the magic number is 22.5. And the reason why 22.5 is we're actually using the 15 seconds of the video and doing the 360-degree rotation all the way around. Okay, so just some simple math there to represent that. Okay, and a little bit more complex once we get into where we need to set our marker on our compass using cosine and sine, but nothing too crazy there. And then simply going out and actually redrawing the actual compass to represent where we're at. So we move the video to that position, okay, which is moving around the image, and set our compass. Okay. Any questions on this? No? So in a very short HTML5 page, we now have a 360-degree view, okay, using video. So let's keep going. Okay, so some other ways, okay, we have inline purchasing. Okay, as I mentioned, people are now starting to actually overlay reviews of items, and even in quick montages or user experiences, buttons for buy it now or get more information. They're also doing social sharing and returns, so the video may get to the end, and instead of your normal, here's the link to the video, you'll have the actual Pinterest, Google+, all those, Facebook, social sharing buttons right on top of the video. Not below it, but right where the user's eyes already were, where they can just click on those buttons, okay, as if they're clicking in the video itself. And I have over on the right here, this is actually an example of last year's talk at Streaming Media West, balloon pop-outs on top of a video using the track function of HTML5 video. So if you're interested in that, those are also up on GitHub, and the presentation is also there. So if you want to get into track usage with video, with the video element, you can. And those balloons pop up at certain times during the video play and in certain locations on that video. Okay, and that's pop bubbles. Okay, what's neat about that is you can then map into, if you remember the Blu-ray, one of the big Blu-ray features when it first came out, and they had some of the adventure films where somebody had a neat watch on, and you could, scroll over the watch, and it would actually pop up information on that watch. This is the type of thing that you could actually do with this if you wanted. Okay, you now get interactive inside that video component. Okay. So video element support, as we mentioned, it has fall through. This is actually some of the code straight off of Best Buy's page. Nobody's from Best Buy, I hope. I have some friends that work there, but okay, so they won't mind. But they're actually still using the Flash as their primary on top, okay? And then they actually go down through to some other fall-throughs, in this case an MP4 on the bottom. Okay. If you do want to do that, and just as a tip, you want to shut and try it out and verify that your fall-through is working, you can shut off in Chrome very easily the Flash implementation, the Flash extension or plugin, okay, just by going to Chrome plugin. So I'm not going to go fully through this, but it's very simple to do, and for anybody developing on the client side, it's very important to do, because then you're validating that for those devices, whether it be iPhone or the like, that your fall-through code is working properly. Okay. Okay, so what we're starting to see now as well is that there's tentative, and I call it tentative because a lot of the shopping carts have not fully adopted inline video yet with product pages. For example, Magento, that I'm probably most familiar with, they're still leaving it up to third-party developers to create the extensions, and there's actually plenty now. There's galleries that you can add, there's inline product videos, there's lightbox pop-ups that you can add with video support, pulling from Vimeo, YouTube, any URL you want as you need to. So it's kind of tentative at this point. We're starting to see that become more mainstream and in the actual third-party shopping carts, okay? But it's taking some time. Okay, so let's take a look at YouTube APIs and their usage. And it's an interesting stat on the bottom. YouTube videos have influenced a purchase at least once for 53% of consumers, and that's from a 2014 report. It's pretty powerful. Okay, so even if you may be hosting the videos yourselves or with a specific vendor, make sure that you also publish those up to the YouTube site. Okay, whether people find those organically or are referenced to them, they're important. It's a main source for people finding out information about your products. It could be as simple as providing an embedded URL, okay, which is simply taking the actual video ID off the query string right here, pasting it onto the YouTube line with embed, and that then will allow you to actually embed that video in your page. Or if you want to get a little bit deeper, YouTube provides several different API libraries. And whether you're from a media streaming company and you have your own player, what I look at when I look at these APIs is a reference point for, if I'm creating an API set, what do I need as a base set, right? So what they've done is a lot of research as to what developers will want and need, and they have a base set of APIs. Okay? They have the analytics, which we'll talk about briefly. They have the data, which is working with the videos and playlists, where you can actually get information about the video itself. The live streaming for actually creating, updating, and managing. Okay? And then the player itself, and we'll focus on the player right now. And what we're going to focus on is not the native code players, the Android or the JavaScript or the Flash, but we're actually going to focus on the iframe because that's the most ubiquitous. So the iframe is simply putting the YouTube player into an iframe on any page and then actually being able to interact with it. So the same thing that we're able to do with the HTML element, okay, of video, the tag video, with its properties of current time and play, pause, and those functions and events, we can do the same with this player as well, okay? And most of the players that are actually provided. So let's walk through an example. So here's the player iframe insertion. We pass it some very simple things. You can see on the right, we're going to create a new yt.player, YouTube player, and we pass it, the first parameter is player. That first parameter is actually the element ID on the page where we want the player to go, where we want the player to reside. So in this case, that is a div ID, okay, element ID, and that's where the player is going to live. And we'll see this in code in a minute. Then we give it some size, some sizing, a default video ID if we want it to start up with a video. You don't have to, okay? And then what events we want to register for. In this case, on ready and on state change. And the on ready is simply when is the player actually ready, okay, for us to interact with it. And then the on-state changes will tell us when is it playing, when has it stopped, when is it paused, when is it buffering, things like that. Okay. One other note for the client-side programmers, with a player vars, which is optional, you can customize the look and feel of this player as well, okay, to make it look more consistent with your interface and your styling. Okay. So some of the player functions, okay, the one that we're most interested in, and there's quite a few, there's ones on playlists and playback, so we can actually do some really neat things. Some examples I've done in the past for some clients is actually using A/B testing using a playlist. So we get the playlist from YouTube where they've already uploaded their product demo videos for a specific product. We get a playlist, and then we shuffle that playlist and do A/B testing using that. Some really neat results that way. We do a load video by ID to actually load a video, and we'll see an example of this. We give it the video ID, where to start in that video. So you could also, if it's easier for you to do one video, or you already have a video that has a segment in that of a specific product, you can tell it where you want it to start in that video, okay? And then suggested quality as well. So if you want to actually control the quality based on what form factor you're going on, you can do so. Okay? And then controlling a video. And you can see these are very similar to the HTML video element itself. Play video, pause video, stop, seek to. Okay? Seek to is pretty much setting the current time as we were talking, and then clear video. You can do other things such as the volume, the playlist, and the playback rate. Okay? But those are the main pieces. Okay. So let's take a look at a quick example of this YouTube player. Okay. Let me move down this. Okay, so when I load this page, it created that element. I'm just gonna. This is actually the fail on the barbecue, folding barbecue if you're interested. Okay. But what it did is it loaded the player. Okay. It loaded a script dynamically from YouTube, inserted the player. When it was ready, we actually then asked the player, give me information about this video. In this case, how long, what's the duration of the video, and also what's the URL of the video, okay, in case we want to do anything with that. If we want to allow somebody to share it, as an example, pop up the share buttons at the end, we now have that video URL, okay. As well, we're controlling the video. So you notice it actually stopped. I think it stopped at 10 seconds is what we had it set to. And then it jumped to 15 seconds and is waiting for us there. Okay, so we're doing some control of the playback also. Let's take a quick look at the code for this. And you'll see how simple it is. Okay. One other note, by the way, is that if you look at the developer console, we're also logging the current states. So you see here the initial state is a -1. That's while it's still loading. Then we go to a buffering, which is state 3 for the YouTube player, and then 1 for playing because we told it to autoplay. Now the caveat here is if you're on a mobile device, the mobile devices they still frown on this for the autoplay. So if anybody is delivering content and expecting it to autoplay on a mobile device, that's still frowned upon because of cell data plans and the like. So you still require that user interaction to press the play. And then finally, when we stopped it, it's now in an unstarted or -1 again. Okay? So let's take a look. Okay. So on the bottom, you can see we have our player div. And remember when we were talking about the YouTube player, we're actually telling it to actually replace that container, what's in between those div tags, with the actual player itself. And then we're going to do the video info down below. So when the page loads, one of the first things we're going to do is asynchronously load the script for the iframe API from YouTube. Okay? So we're going to get that from YouTube. We're going to add it to the page asynchronously. And then when that is ready, it automatically will call this on YouTube iframe API ready. So it's kind of nice. So that script will automatically go out, pull that script back from YouTube. It will then say when it's ready, when it's loaded, it will then launch this function which tells us you can now make calls to this API, which includes creating a player. So we're going to create a player, as we mentioned. We're going to add in a couple other function handlers for events. So we have our on ready, we have our on state change. We're also going to add our on playback quality change just to show it, and our on error in case there are any errors that we have. Okay. And so when the player is ready, we're then going to go out and get the video information. And it's simply going out to the player itself. So player.getDuration will tell us what the length of this film is, this video is. And then we can also use a different format called event. And the event object for YouTube, at least, when they fire an event, may contain one of two parameters. It may contain a target and a data segment. And that data segment will have different information. In this case, it would have that URL for that video. Okay. Now, just if you are looking at using this or from other vendors, One thing to watch out for here is cross-domain errors, okay? Cross-domain scripting errors that browsers will fail on. So that's why we keep a player reference, a global player reference to the object that we've created for this player to get around that if it fires. Okay, so there's still issues. Even with the mainstream players, we still find these issues of cross-domain and the like. Okay. Then we handle our state changes, our events there. And you can see here's the different events for the YouTube player. Okay, we have our buffering that we saw was number 3. We have our 0 is ended, so if we let it go to the end, it would actually say ended. Okay. Now the neat thing about this is that we can use this for analytics. We'll talk a little bit more about the analytics later on, but the analytics here are, I can tell when somebody starts it, and I can tell if they get all the way to the end of the video, or whether they stop it somewhere along the way. And if they stop it, I can use the get current time to actually see how far in the video they made it. Okay? One good guideline is product videos, typically between 1 and 2 minutes is what it's been found to be very potent. And after 2 minutes, you're going to start losing people. They're going to start, their eyes will glance away and move off of the page. Okay? But if you're in an e-commerce activity, it's a great way to find out how much can your customers actually handle. How much are they actually interested in before you start losing their eyeballs. Okay? Okay, and then we just catch any errors down below. So we also did a stop video at a certain point, and we also told it to go to 15 seconds. Okay, very easy to do, very simple function calls, nothing complex there. Okay, okay, so let's keep going. So let me find. I think I jumped ahead here. Okay. So let's go and do a little bit more dynamic functionality with the YouTube player. Anybody know Adafruit here in the city? Tech Geeks, Arduino, Raspberry Pis. One of my favorite sites, sorry. So they have multiple, they do a fantastic job doing product demos because this is a very technical area. They want to demonstrate the functionality and the capabilities of their products. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to load the player again, but we're going to dynamically, based off of the thumbnails, tell it to swap out the videos from YouTube inside the player. Okay? And if we wanted to take this to one end of it, we could actually ask YouTube through the data API layer for those thumbnails of a particular playlist. Okay? In this case, we just hard-coded it. So we told it to launch this default one, and then we're going to have it launch different ones based on what the user selects. So this is your gallery view that you might see on a product page, where you might have 3 videos for a specific product. And the functionality is quite simple again. If we look here, we go down, and whenever the person clicks on a video, we just did a inline JavaScript of changing the video, not production code, but it shows the point here, of changing the video, and that change video function is then going to just say if the player is ready, so we're going to always make sure if that player is ready, okay, then we're just going to load that video by ID. That's all it takes. And that ID is actually the YouTube ID down here. Okay? And again, most of the players work this way now. They've all pretty much become the same on these simple sets of commands for embedding, and it makes it nice and easy as a client coder or client-side coder to actually implement these. Okay. So mobile. So mobile is an interesting state. Why am I going backwards? Yep, that one was out. Okay. So one other note before we get to mobile is if you are using YouTube and Vimeo, there is a wrapper class that makes it more like a true HTML5 video element, and that's called mediaelement.js. Okay, and you can check it out. The links are there. But what's nice about it is, unlike before where we had to load the players, okay, this does it automatically for you. You say video ID, and then we give it a source. Notice the type over there is video/YouTube. Okay, so it's going to catch on that type, and then we tell it to actually create this media element player in jQuery. Very simplified. Okay, so let's talk briefly about analytics, and then we'll get to mobile. So analytics, some of the metrics that we're especially interested in video is things like conversion rates. Okay, and you saw some from some of the stats before. The key here is how many times are things viewed, how many times are people actually getting to the end of the product video, are they actually then converting that into a sale, are they putting it into their cart? Okay, some of the stats say that they're much more likely to actually not only add it to their cart, but the cart abandonment rate actually decreases significantly if they've watched the video, because they're more sure of that decision that they've actually made. Okay, so some of the things that we're also looking at is play rate per product. How many times did they actually play the video per user? Views total, number of times played, number of completion plays. So how many times did it get to the end versus being stopped along the way? Okay, and you get these nice distribution graphs of the time segments for these. The estimated minutes watched and the average view duration. Okay, and that's just a sample from the Google YouTube analytics that they provide there. So you can see the total views, estimated minutes watched total, etc. Okay, and based on those HTML5 video elements or the other players that we're using, we can actually pull that and become intelligent about where do people start and stop the video, where are they replaying, things like that. Okay, so here's some of the YouTube analytics. They have 20 metrics. Plus, a lot of the other player providers have plenty of other metrics as well. Some of the key ones is the view metrics, where they have views and uniques. They also have the watch time, which you're finding a lot more people are doing analytics around the watch times now. Okay. Okay. One note on the YouTube analytics is that you do have to register your application for that and go through OAuth. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about mobile. So mobile product video usage, okay, as we all know, I think everybody has gone into a store, probably then looked up something that they were looking at buying in the store on Amazon or the like, comparing prices, looking at reviews, okay. Best Buy has done a fantastic job of this. If you've been in Best Buy in the last couple of years, where they now have QR codes on the tags on the shelves, and if you scan that, it will actually take you to the Best Buy product page with the reviews right there. So they want to keep your eyeballs on their site rather than let you go to another site, okay? And they want to make it easy for you to do so. We'll look at a fail on that, though, in a minute, okay? What we find is that there's two types of internet-supported research in the store, specifically. There's the unguided or self-guided, okay? This is, I do a keyword search. I'm looking for a printer. I might pull up DeskJet, and I just do a keyword search in Google or the like, or my favorite search engine on my phone. Then we have the directed, okay, and this could be from product packaging or store signage. So in Best Buy's case, it's from the store signage, they hope, because that will keep you on their site, okay. If you instead look at the HP DeskJet box, there might be a barcode there which you can scan, okay, with Red Laser or one of the other many scanning apps for your phone, and it will take you to the HP site. Best Buy would much rather have you stay on their site, though, okay. And out of the two, we typically always want the directed path for the user, where we can hopefully control a little bit what they're seeing, hopefully provide them the right information right away that they're looking for. A lot of times, that's the video. So this is where QR codes come in again, okay? From the CMB, they did a study, nearly 1 in 5 people made a purchase after scanning a QR code, okay? So if somebody took the effort to actually open up their QR code scanner, whether that be Google Goggles on Android or Red Laser on iPhone, whatever it may be, after that point of making that effort and actually scanning that product, that QR code, they were more likely then to actually purchase, okay? And in this case, 1 in 5. Okay? Okay, but the real key here I think, you know, people get hung up on the technology of QR codes, and it's pretty cool technology where you can actually do your own QR code. It's less about the technology in this space and much more about the information you provide. Are you taking them to a video of the product? Okay, if they're in a buying scenario. Okay, if they're in a customer support scenario, are you taking them to an FAQs? Okay, are you providing the right information within the right number of taps or clicks or scans for what they're getting at? Okay, so Best Buy, they use shelf tags with the QR codes. Okay, very easy. You just go up and scan it. Okay, one difference for them though. Here's actually on the left is the product site. If you go on the computer to Destiny Xbox One with a nice, I think there's 3 videos you can play right on your desktop or laptop. Okay, but if you scan it with your iPhone, okay, and go to the mobile site, there's no videos at all, only images. Okay, so what we're showing here is we need to be much more embracing of the mobile technology because that's where people are really wanting that information. Okay, they want that immersive environment for that purchase. If they're actually in the store going to spend $59.99 on it, okay, or even buy it online at the Best Buy site, they want to be able to see those videos. Okay. Here's some other fails on QR codes. Some of my personal favorites. So on the left we have Danica Patrick with her racing car, and they put a nice QR code on the hood. How do you get a scan of that? Okay. At the racetrack, you're never that close to one of the race cars, okay? And as they're going 200 miles per hour around the track, most likely your scanner is not going to pick it up, okay? Same with FedEx. They did a promotion. It's a whole new package, you know, trying to build up curiosity to get people to scan that. But as the truck's moving by, trying to get a code of that, you'd be lucky if the truck's stopped in front of you, okay? So make sure if you're going to use QR codes or any of these launch points that we talk about for videos, okay, for displaying videos. I mean, because both these could give fantastic videos about what they're trying to promote, right? By scanning that, they'd be great launch points for this, but you got to be able to scan it first. Okay. Okay. So push the video. Okay. Bring video content to the front. You know, as we saw in Best Buy, if I go to the mobile site, the video content isn't there. And it's not because they don't have it. They actually have it in MP4 format and the like and other formats. They just have chosen not to put it in there yet. Okay. Here's another case, one of my all-time favorites with Best Buy. I don't know if anybody saw this. This was a performing street artist from California. He actually swapped out the shelf tag and put it in the stores, in several stores, with a black plastic box. Okay. So watch out, as we endeavor in these new technology places, there's also ways that they can be circumvented, okay? If you are going to use QR codes, there's some great tips and tricks. Use a landing page so that you can always change where the final direction is that you want to send the user to. Last thing you want is for a link to die on them after they've scanned it, okay? And then that also provides tracking and analytics for the scans. So I have a couple minutes left, it looks like. So some other thoughts. Here's some production video tools that I've seen, and they have a wide range of functionalities and features, everything from creation to analytics, distribution as well, so being able to populate it back up into YouTube and the like. Social sharing, video advertising functionality, so they can actually make the banners right straight from the videos. Some recommendations. Use video links on product pages, not just brand pages. So here, for example, is Best Buy, again, to pick on them. They have a fantastic GoPro brand page on the back right there with video elements from GoPro that they've uploaded. But when you go to the actual GoPro camera, there's no video there. So if you did a search for the actual GoPro camera, you would get to the product page, no video material, okay? But if you just did a search for GoPro, then you get the material. So make sure you have it in both those areas. Keep the video short. 1 to 2 minutes is what's been found in the last year or so in the analytics of keeping eyeballs. Okay. Stay away from photo montages. Okay. That's seen as a cheap way of creating these videos, where people will take still shots and just zoom in and zoom out. If you are unable to create your own videos, link to the manufacturer's video. on the e-commerce side and keep the content up to date. On the testing and metrics, what we've found is, and this is web development and web design 101 pretty much, any material that you want to keep in front of the user, put it at what's called above the fold, okay? Above the fold being the old newspaper term on the front page, whatever is on that top half is the most important, okay? Same thing with video, okay? Even though I love Adafruit, they put their video probably 2 pages down in the product description. Video needs to be brought up. A lot of information and capabilities there. Use a combination of video types. So those video types we saw before, the how-tos, the torture tests, you know, get your customer videos up there. All that can be powerful up on these sites for making that buy decision. Use A/B testing. This is highly underrated, and people don't use this enough. Create 2 different types, 2 different styles of videos based on the demographics and the users you're going after, and then see which one works best, which one has the most end stops on it versus drop-offs. And then test on a variety of viewing platforms. How is it working on iPhone? How is it working on my Android tablet? How's it working on maybe my Roku box on TV, you know, if you're going that route. Verify ROI with the analytics, and my suggestion is a combination of both in-house and whatever player party you're using, the analytics that they provide, okay? Because you want a holistic view. You want to know what's coming from YouTube. You want to know what's coming from your player. You want to know what's coming from your site. Okay, focus on mobile and social. So 17% of users have discovered a product through Pinterest. How many people use Pinterest in here? Yeah, none of the ladies? So 90% of users on Pinterest are women, okay, for pinning. Very interesting demographic. But it's all about my favorite products, okay? Things I want to save for later, or things I'm interested in, or things I bought, okay? So it makes sense. You want to be popular on there. As well on the social side, latest news and products for information, 65% get from social media, okay? Also customer support, 24%, and what others are buying, 19%, okay? So, and it's growing. What we're seeing is these are actually growing over time. Mobile shoppers are 3 times as likely to view a video. Okay, so another reason why somebody like a Best Buy, Amazon, Zappos, any retail store wants to get it into the mobile space, you're much more likely to actually view it on the mobile device. Okay, and just closing it down, testing on a couple varying platforms, and understanding location. So finally, the future. We'll see augmented reality on product packages, okay, being supported by video. There's several different ones out there. This is a game cube that actually brings up the application, and you can actually move it and all in your device. Wearables, okay, so providing video on wearables in location. So geofencing, beacon technology, near-field communications, all of those, okay. The bottom right is something that's being tried out in Tokyo, the virtual stores. Not sure if people have seen it. It's pictures and barcodes, and you literally just go along and scan what you want to actually buy. Okay? There's no tangible goods, and then it's delivered to you. Okay? So the virtual is blending with the physical here. Okay. So there's my information. Feel free, I'll stick around for questions. I'll put all this up on GitHub as well, the samples that I showed. And the other samples as well from the HTML5 video component from last year are all up there already, so you're more than welcome to those. And there's my LinkedIn and my email if you're interested. That's it. Thanks.